Hello, my dear friends. This is Maxine Taylor, um, and I have finally your lunations for this month. We have two eclipses, and I'm going to describe them to you because they really each deserve their own crown. However, I've got to tell you. I have answered your requests and I'm going to share the information with you right now. I am, hang on, I've named it some, and it's so cute. Um, you have asked me when I'm going to start teaching again, mentoring again, all that good stuff. Well, I'm starting now. I am offering what I call and inviting you to participate in my economic relief plan. Now is the time that we really need a reading or two or more, but we can't afford it because of the economy. So, what I've done, and if you go to my website, MaxineTaylor.com, you will see all the examples. I have chopped the price of my readings, each one. For those of you who are interested in just say a 6 month reading, you can have it at a discount. Um, and speaking of discount, these readings that I give now are face to face on Zoom at no extra charge. So you can see I'm trying to give you exactly what you asked for. Um, And once again, just go to MaxineTaylor.com and you'll find everything. I'm reading because you know me. I will inadvertently leave something out, so just bear with me. Um, okay. My astrology classes are going to begin very shortly. So if you're interested, just go to my website, MaxineTaylor.com, or give me a call because I want to explain to you all the goodies you're going to get when you study astrology with me. It will take from start to finish about 8, 9 months. At that point in time, you will be ready, if you are so inclined, to practice astrology. Um, Mentoring, spiritual mentoring. This is a new thing. And many of you have told me that you're so grateful that I wrote that book on secrets from the womb. Now, the accompanying workshop, you're using the book because of the financial situation that our country is in. So call me, we'll talk. And private mentoring sessions, whether astrological or spiritual. Yep, their prices have been cut. So please, if you are interested in any of the things I offer, now is the time to take advantage of them. The economic relief plan is going to last, I don't know how long. I don't know, but it's alive and well now, if I'm making sense. Okay, now I want to talk about these eclipses. The first one is like tomorrow, depending on where you live. What I've seen is we start feeling this full moon uh, about, oh, I want to say maybe 3, 4, 5 days before it occurs. Um, it's vitally important that you be aware of where the eclipse is going to fall in your birth chart, because that's the area of life that's going to come alive on the full moon and get restarted on the new moon. Okay, am I making sense? The first, let's see, the full moon is, as I said, tomorrow. It falls in your 12th house of solitude and privacy. You want to spend time on the spiritual level. You don't want to be disturbed by other people. Make sure that you have solitude and calm. 2 weeks later, we've got that new moon, and it's in your sixth house of work, health, and service. Go to the gym, work out. Are you thinking of changing jobs? Great, do it. Okay. Very interesting, diametrically opposed eclipses. That's how they occur, opposite one another. Taurus, um, the full moon falls in your 11th house, the house of Aquarius. And this gives you a longing to spend time with friends. It is much more impersonal than any other house in the zodiac. And I would rekindle friendships and spend time with friends, especially philanthropic organizations. You may find an outlet there you really love. 2 weeks later, on the new moon, party time. This eclipse uh, triggers parties, fun, anything that's fun, sports, art, building a house, whatever, and children are involved. So it's time for you to spend time with your kids, assuming they're not 40 years old and want to borrow the car. Okay, that's Taurus. Gemini, this is very, very interesting. And once again, I can't read my handwriting. Okay, the first eclipse puts you in the catbird seat. It puts you in the lead position. Isn't that marvelous? You are either going to move to the top or you'll spend more time in a position of authority or spending time with the authority figures. The second eclipse on the 21st falls in your fourth house of home, family, and real estate. And that's the time to absolutely uh, take up all of the small, unfinished uh, projects that you've had and tie a bow around them. In other words, get them completed because the first eclipse says, "Here I am, world." The second eclipse says, "Go away, world. I want to stay home." Cancerians, the first eclipse opens your thinking. You see the big picture. You're ready to get on a plane and go somewhere, assuming, it's flying. You know what I'm talking about. That would be awesome. Are you thinking of going back to school, maybe graduate school for higher education? This is really the time to study abroad. This is super. And then the second eclipse um, is in your third house of practical thinking, short-term travel. Uh, so you've got an option. You can either go back to graduate school or start on a lower level. And I'm thinking of all the wonderful courses that are offered at universities, adult courses that are offered in the evenings very often, and it gives you a continued source of mental activity. Anyhow, that is what is triggered. The full moon in the ninth house and the new moon in the third house. Leo. I have to say great, grand, glorious Leo, because that's what they are. All right. Um, the eclipse this weekend falls in your second house of money. We can stop here. I mean, somebody's got to create the money. And this is a super terrific eclipse for you. So if you have found a new way of creating income, or if somebody owes you money and increases then your income, it's your money. But 2 weeks later, what you'll find is that you've got an eclipse in the eighth house of other people's money. The eighth house is the house of secrets, and there may be unfinished business in the arena of money, whether it's a relative or a friend, that type of thing. So, money on all of its levels is activated this month. I love it. I love it. The eighth house is transformation, by the way. So you may have a chance to change your ideas. All right. And that's the full moon. The new moon is money. I've kind of twisted them backwards because when I saw second house, I had to start with that. So starting with unearthing what's going on and then finishing up with money. That's Leo. Go for it. All righty. Virgo. Now, this is very important. The two eclipses are on the Virgo Pisces axis. When one is triggered, the other is as well. So the full moon, which is this weekend, is in the seventh house of partnership, with a personal partnership or business partnership. It's getting out there and dealing with other people, whether business or friendship, doesn't matter. Get out there. And the one-on-one relationship is very strongly triggered. 2 weeks later, we've got a new moon and it falls in your first house. And that's powerful because in the first house, you say, I'm doing what I want, when I want, how I want, because I want. And what you want to think about is re-examining the relationships that you've had, the unfinished business that needs completion, and just go for it because the new moon is in the first house. If you have either one of these eclipses on if it falls on your sun, your moon, or your rising sign, this is a new life eclipse for you. We feel the effects of an eclipse usually about 2 weeks before it occurs, and it's at its peak 3 to 4 months later. Okay. And then we have later on another pair of eclipses. However, when we have an eclipse in our sign or our opposite sign, it is vitally important that we take advantage of the energy from that. It's wonderful. What kind of orb do I allow between the eclipse and the natal chart? Sun, moon, or ascendant, or rising sign? I allow about 5 degrees, sometimes 6. But instead of lasting about 5 months, as a regular eclipse will do, if you have a new life eclipse, that's going to last for at least a year because it's major. I remember one year I had 4 new life eclipses. Just it was coming at me from all sides. And I could read the chart and I knew that I had a whole slew of eclipses coming along. It made it much easier. You might want to look in your ephemeris and check it out. Okay. Okay. Now, Libra, lovely Libra. The full moon is in your sixth house. The first one is in the sixth house of work, health, and service. And so you're working, well, whether you're setting up a new corporation or hanging out your shingle to be an astrologer. Your work, your health, um, go to the gym, go to the gym if you possibly can. And then 2 weeks later, on the 21st, um, we have an eclipse and you pull back and retreat, and people say, where'd he go? Or where did she go? Because you want your solitude and privacy. Scorpio, the all-time most powerful sign, in my opinion, in the entire zodiac. The first eclipse falls in your fifth house of children and fun and enjoyment. Um, and things come to a head in this arena. 2 weeks later, on the new moon, your 11th house of friends, philanthropic opportunities, that's what's triggered as well. So, fifth house, your fun. 11th house, group fun. Okay? Let's see what we got here. All righty. Sagittarius. Um, the full moon is in the fourth house of home and family and building homes. But you want to stay home. The new moon on the 21st puts you in the top slot. So rise to the occasion. If you were offered a position of leadership, take it. All right? Capricorn. This is very interesting to me. The full moon is on the 7th, and you're filled with ideas, terrific ideas. You want to talk to people, you want to communicate with people. There may be a reunion with a sister or a brother, but it's your mouth and your mind. You're talking and having a great time. And then 2 weeks later, the new moon is in your ninth house, and you see the big picture. You see everything that you didn't see before. Long distance travel, yes. Higher education, are you teaching at a university or studying at a university? I love this one. Beautiful. And last but not least, Aquarius. Aquarius rules astrology, of course. So I tend to be just a teeny bit partial. The full moon is in the eighth house. Did I get that right? All right. No, sorry. The new moon is. The full moon is in your second house of money. Terrific. Go with it. And this is your money I'm talking about. But 2 weeks later, that eclipse falls in the eighth house of other people's ideas, other people's money. And so the eighth house also deals with secrets. So I would look beneath the surface for the cause of events that are not making themselves clearly seen. Okay? And last but not least, Pisces. The full moon is in your first house, and you're saying, I'm doing my thing my way. Go for it. I think it's terrific. Change your appearance, change what you're doing. Um, do the appearance thing, buy some new clothes. And 2 weeks later, that eclipse is in your seventh house of other people. So I guess you're buying an ensemble to wear with a new relationship. I just made that up myself. So that's what's going on. Thank you so much. Many of you have been with me for years and years and years, and I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate you. And my last wish is that we create a loving planet, that we create truth from our leaders. And may the stars bless you and keep you till we meet again. Bye for now.